All right, we'll call our unconference to the order now. Please take your seats. And good morning. I'm really excited to have you all here. It's been wonderful. We thought of doing this unconference just less than 2 months ago, and we thought we'll have about 70, 80 people come up and turn up. What seems to have happened is we got some 225 registrations, and we are slightly overwhelmed. So we had to make this arrangement in a partial square table and partly in the auditorium style. But next time we'll make sure that all of you have a facility that allows you to speak. Unconference is all about democratization of the conferences. The difference between the speakers and the audience is, I think, disappearing or in some way converging. And we think that everyone in the audience is also a speaker in many ways. This is for us also in the context of India and the US, first of its kind event in this great city of Los Angeles. You all know there is so much to do, not only between the two countries, but also on a global basis. A lot of opportunities in front of us. A lot of excitement now with the new Prime Minister taking charge. In his talk in New York last Sunday, which I attended, he did talk a little about media and entertainment space. I do not want to talk too much at this point in time. We have a great day in front of us. A lot of subjects, a lot of topics, and a lot of speakers. We are really very happy that so many people responded to our invitation. And this event is actually by way of invitation only, because we are not sure how many people would come. And so the process that started off was also that we invited some kind of expression of interest, looked at the background of the people, and invited those who have at least something to do with the industry. So once again, thank you all for responding in such a big way. A lot of people are surprised as a law firm what role we have. We consider law firm more like entrepreneurial firm. We constantly engage in innovations. And the way in which we build our firm was on the premise that every new technology, every new business model, every new financial instrument brings along with it a new legal or tax problem. So typically, what we do is to do trend assessment and forecasting as to what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and see what would be the new legal, strategic, tax, different kind of issues come up, because law could be a big barrier to the market entry or sometime in terms of operations or otherwise. I think we want to make sure that we change the world and change the world together. So we try to develop a lot of think tanks on different specific areas where we can help you to facilitate business. not only in India basis, but also on a global. So you'll find number of books in front of you, and all kind of subjects are there. Please feel free to take them with you in the evening. Just some of the housekeeping items. One, you have a microphone in front of you. So when you want to speak something, there's a button, press it, and perhaps you'll get sound up. Some of those who are speaking on the other side, we have also organized the microphone. Please stand up, introduce yourself, intervene. That's the way we want to work on. What I would like to do is, even I would like Shekhar to give you a little introduction about today's conference. He is a genius. Of course, he's a friend also. Correct? No. No. So I think it's a public perception. He's a friend, of course, that goes, because I'm a friend, I'm able to tell you, you're a genius anyway. And sometimes friends also talk truth, right? It's not. So I think we want to make it very interactive. Feel free to express yourself, talk. The way in which we would have a discussion would be that almost all speakers would talk for about 5 minutes on a given subject. I think everybody has a program in their hands, right? So please take a look at it. We'll avoid a lot of frills in terms of long introductions of the speakers, because everything is in this, and you can read for yourself, so it will be very short. So it's like no free line, right? We'll have very small introduction. We straight get into the discussion. And that's the way we want to do, so that we save time for real discussion rather than, going on reading all the bios. And as you can see, that we have a number of sessions throughout the day. One thing is, first session is from 11 to 12 p.m. And then immediately we have a lunch break, okay? As you can see, from 12 to 1 p.m., it's a lunch break. But between 12:45 and 1 p.m., I would request everybody to be here at about 12:40. What we want to do is to find out what more can we do next year. How can we do something better next year? And all of you are here, so if there is any comment or suggestion or anything you want to extend and be part of this, whatever, we'll spend about 15 minutes on that before we start the next session at 1 o'clock. So the first session gets over at 12 p.m., 12 to 1 lunch, 12:40, 45 to 1, some ideation and stuff like that, and then 1 to 2 onwards. Then we have a session at 2:45 to 3:30. That session, maybe, we think if the time runs out, we'll continue some discussion in the sugar break at 3:30, depending on how the discussion goes. And then we have other sessions all the way going down to the evening. And then at 6:15, we have not networking cocktails and reception. And for your convenience, now we have also added dinner. My apologies. So you don't have to rush to find a restaurant and, go for food out. So please feel free to stay on. So right from your, morning coffee to lunch to dinner, everything we are putting together, so you don't have to be in a hurry. When you come for media entertainment, you'd never do it in a rush, right? So may I request, Shekhar, to to come and say us a few words before we start our day. Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar.
Thank you, Nishith, and welcome. Thanks for taking up the space where everybody hasn't come, so I can have a space when everybody has arrived. We're doing an unconference. Unconference doesn't mean that we're doing a conference because we have no idea what to do. An unconference means we're doing a conference where we have no idea what will happen. So it's an unexpected thing. There'll be unexpectedness. And why is it unexpected? Because the future is completely unexpected. A very long time ago, I sat down and I said, I tell stories in 2.5 hours, 3 hours. We used to make films, 4-hour films in India once, and now we make them for 3 hours, and we make them 2 hours, and now I'm told 90 minutes. You cannot make a film more than 90 minutes. And now I'm told that if you have to go on to the cell phone, you have to tell stories in 10 minutes. If you have to go on Twitter, you have to tell a story in 140 letters. The world's changing. We have already seen in ourselves a whole lot of disruption happening. Now, disruption happens all the time. So why this conference? This conference because disruption is happening at a speed we never imagined. Your children are no longer doing SMS, right? My daughter never SMSes me. When I say SMS, she says, "What's that, Daddy? Are you living in ancient times?" No, she's on, you think, okay, what do you think she's saying? WhatsApp? No. There's another program out there, even WhatsApp is gone. So the speed of change in our world is so amazing, and the speed of change is caused by the internet, it's caused by the change in technology, it's caused by social media. So where are we? We have already seen the fall of the gatekeepers. So that's one thing we do notice. The music companies had a lot of big problems. Now the studios are having problems, and everybody's trying to understand social media. So the questions that we should talk about today are, is social media the thing? What is this thing called social media? Because the one thing that you know, that this thing is not really a thing that you can define. And we are so used to definitions. We build structures out of definitions. We run our lives through definitions. And every time we try and define something, then by the time you define it, it's already over. By the time you got your business ideas together and all the telecom companies said, well, actually, voice has no value. It's in SMS that there's value. SMS was over. So where are we headed? What is the structure that we are all telling? I'm a storyteller. How am I going to tell stories in the future? Because it's not just good enough to tell stories. I have to distribute my stories. I need a wide audience. And I say, oh my God, people are telling stories and getting 50 million hits on YouTube. I'm not getting 50 million people to come and see my movie. But so then they say, but they're not monetizing it, you see? Well, they're going to monetize it. They will be fine. There will be ways. Is there a way? Are we heading to a point where there's no monetization in social media? I have friends who say, my film's pirated, my film's pirated, I create a program, everything's pirated. So what are we talking about IP? What is IP in this new world? What is intellectual property? Nishith is not only just my friend, he's an amazing lawyer. I can bet you that in about 5 years' time, I'll say, Nishith, I need intellectual property. Can you please give me IP protection for 1 day? 75 years? My God. There's no, I mean, your product, the shelf life of a YouTube video doesn't have 75 years, it's 1 day. Are we heading to 1-day products? Which way are we going? So what is a 1-day product? Is there an idea that is reforming in our societies that is the one word is sharing? Is there no more the idea of one man or one person creating? Are the icons dead? Are the new icons going to be the people who actually can create ideas that is merely a seed that creates the ecosystem that is the rainforest, where the creepers come and then they take your light, but you were the one that created the seed. So you have the idea. So you go back to times, and after all, when I tell stories, we have 3-act structures, and I ask myself, when did 3-act structures come? We have the Mahabharata in India as a fundamental book of our Indian philosophy. It's not really religion, it's a philosophy. There were 1,000,000 variations of Mahabharata. because Mahabharata was orally told. And then one day somebody came up with this idea called the Gutenberg Press. And suddenly the Gutenberg Press, everybody said, I can create something, I can publish it, I can put it out the world, but it has to have a beginning and it has to have an end. So we came up with this idea of 3-act structures, because you have to have an end. If you read the Mahabharata, before it was written, there was no end. It was a continuing story. Is the new world a continuing story? Are we addicted to beginnings and ends? Are we addicted to intellectual properties? Are we losing out? Are we all going to be dinosaurs that die out if we don't accept the idea that sharing is the new paradigm? That you just create something and everything shares. Which way are we headed? That's what I'm hoping, that everybody will come up and say, yes, are we at risk? Yes, of course we are at risk. How far are we at risk? The assumption always is, the future will happen, but the fact is that the future is now. It's here. So I sat down one day, and I'll give you a simile and then I'll stop, because I'm hoping that we'll start for this discussion. Anybody can come up and please, the idea is challenged, the idea is sharing, the idea is saying, Shekhar, you are so wrong. God, I hope you say I'm so wrong, because I spent my life making films and becoming an icon about making 3-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour movies. I would be so happy if you tell me I'm wrong. I suspect I'm not. I suspect I have 850,000 people on Twitter, and I write. I'm trying to train myself to create a story in 140 letters. What is a story in 140 letters? What is a story? Ultimately, a story is something that you can write that expands with the audience's own experience, the mind, to encompass a much larger experience. The world's greatest editors will tell you, a film does not exist in what you show. A film exists in what you don't show. They have this ability to create spaces in between scenes, and in those spaces is your experience. So what happens when you see the film when you're 15 years or 14 years old? You have one experience and the story is one. By the time you're 25, the story is different. By the time you're 40, the story is different. When you're watching a film at 60, it's a different story. Why? Because there was no definite plot, which is what's happening to film now. I have to tell you, collective cinema making is doing that, but there used to be great filmmakers, great editors, great story writers. They never had this idea of, let's beat people on the head. They kept these little spaces. And in these little spaces, you came in, right? It's like the composer that actually never has the note. He creates, the composer, he or she, they create the contradiction of two notes and then allow you to complete the harmony. And the poet that doesn't actually give you the word, it's a word the poet has never stated, that allows you to complete that poem that is relevant for you. The poet is always shared. Now, where are we heading? How does all this idiotic theory I'm just chucking theories at you so you can come up and say, hey, you're wrong. Maybe. I want to be wrong. So where are we headed? Where is this? So I asked myself, and then I'll stop, as I keep saying, I will stop till somebody raises their hand. I can't stop, so please raise your hand and I will stop. But really, I thought, what is actually happening? Some people, when I talk to them, they say, you know what, you're just headed towards chaos. My email ID is exist in chaos, has been there for years. I love chaos because I can handle it. I've lived in chaos, I live in India. We live in chaos all the time, right? But chaos, I was thinking, stock market, I'm sure all of you invest. If you take people who invest in the stock market 200 years ago and say, hey, this is what the stock market looks like. It's on the computer, it changes every day, there's a ticker tape going along. It's like, what are you guys doing? It's completely chaotic. No, it's not chaotic. What to somebody is chaos is just we've sucked the inertia out of the system. That's really what's happening. We are sucking the inertia out of the system, and those that cannot adapt to rapid change see it as chaos. Those that adapt to rapid change see it as opportunity, embrace it. They embrace it, and they will be the future people. Let me try and explain it. I'm a filmmaker, so let me try and explain it in film ways. If you go out to the ocean, it's Los Angeles, go out to the ocean, there's a little breeze, you'll see waves coming in and out, and I'll say, hey, Nishith, do you see that wave? Can you name the wave? You'll say, which wave? Because by the time I've said that wave, the wave is gone. Oh, which wave? Oh, that one. Oh, which wave? That one. No, that. Which wave are you talking about? That's going to be our life. Now, I have technology. I can go and I can shoot the ocean at 10,000 frames a second. And I'll show that film to Nishith. And I'll say, Nishith, look at that wave. Can you name it? Of course I can name it. It goes, whoa. What have I actually done? I've inserted inertia back into the system. Now you'll watch the crest, and you'll watch the trough, and you'll understand the nature of structure, because the trough is fighting with the crest. And it's going to try and bring the crest down, and the crest is fighting with the trough and trying to bring it down. And so you understand the theory of our lives. Our lives depend that if you're on the crest, you're hoping there's enough inertia. If you're on the trough, you hope there's no inertia, because that's how you get it. But now, when you go back, you see that as the rapid change in technology and the rapid change of social media, and the fact that social media has gone to younger people, they're no longer in 30s and 40s. It's changing the structure, and inertia is taking out the pace of change. And so, what is the future? Now, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope I've kind of I can throw up to 100 other questions, but I'm hoping other people will come in. And let's make this now an unpredictable, inertia-less, chaotic conference. Please come on. Thank you.